ほど。 and I'm never fucking running this shit again. I will never. Here comes the new boss nightmare. I could write a whole video on just the details of how this boss works, and I most likely will at some point, because that shit is complicated, yo. Before the fight even starts, we activate one of 4 dials in the room. This causes the boss to spawn in a solid state. Normally, the boss starts in a liquid state, and you have to hit the dials for it to be solid for a short period of time. When in liquid form, the boss constantly shoots small attacks at you and tries to suck you into itself, where you can then fight another boss and some skulls for some big damage. The solid state, on the other hand, has a series of more concentrated attacks, followed by brief periods where it exposes one of its 2 cores. These cores are where the boss takes damage, and we have to be careful about how we do said damage. There are 3 nightmare fights across the game, and both of its cores have phases: blue, green, and red. The blue and green phase take much more damage than the red phase. Each progressive phase also has the boss attacks, boss outlast, longer, and more. The most important thing is that these cores phases actually carry over from boss fight to boss fight. So if you break a core to green in the first fight, it'll start green in the second. So finding ways to completely kill the boss quickly without making your cores red for the final fight is quite complicated. The cores break roughly based on the amount of hits taken, not the damage dealt, with some exceptions. A bonus for us is that the first nightmare fight has a special rule that states that the core change can only happen once. So if we break a core from blue to green, it can't break from green to red in this fight. Knowing this, we can quickly one-cycle the boss by baiting out an attack from the front and jumping on top and then repeating this combo. DT Grenade Gun, High Time, Helmbreaker. The high time that precedes the Helmbreaker actually causes the Helmbreaker to do 2 times damage. This quickly breaks the core to green. Fast enough, in fact, for the longer attack of the boss to take effect on the very first attack, giving us just enough time to finish off the boss before he hides his cores again. This creates a clean one cycle where the boss really doesn't even get to play the game. We then wait for the boss orbs and until the boss death refills our double trigger before proceeding to the bridge or vortex at the end of the level. These huge orbs at the end of the bridge that are 100 each are actually the same ones that were small on Mission 3. If you collect them on Mission 3, they'll never grow big. This is super important for late game orb routing, as both this mission and Mission 19 need these orbs to be able to get the S rank. We purposely avoid them earlier on, and here in some instances, to be able to get those S ranks later. On Mission 17, we once again are doing a big purchase: 5 holy waters and 1 purple orb. Teleporting into this painting, we encounter a new enemy, Frosts. They are obviously weak to fire, so switching to Ifrit is rather good. Frosts are really tanky though, so even when using Ifrit, it can take a while. That's why we soften them up with a holy one first, making sure that we have DT for the start next. Completing this mission without taking damage is a requirement for getting an S rank. The S rank gives you only 8 range. Now that we have the top, for the sake of time, I won't call out every single enemy. You collect a white glowing orb that is annoying as by vortexing into the fetish on the right before activating the light, it'll head over to him instead of to the left like it does by default. This is great as we can push the fetish into the next enemy and kill them both at once to refill our double trigger. The light isn't quite well placed vortex and sends us right where we need to go. The blades in the next room have random health values and don't have a consistent counter, so we use a holy water on them to escape the quickly. Doing it like this guarantees you are to the left path on both this room and the previous one. Holy water on them. So if we use 2 holy waters, we get an A rank. That's the death side to 18 boss. Here we fight Nella and Angelo too, and as the name suggests, we use 2 holy waters instead of 1. afterwards, we have the single hardest jump in the game. This jump is fucking impossible, and I'm not even going to attempt to describe why. Just look at it. Once up top, there's a scripted jump that sends you across towards the key item. It's faster by about half a second to do this jump with a jump instead of a stinger jump. This nets us an S rank going into Mission 12, where we see something truly terrifying. Underwater level controls. Speeding past the enemies at the start, we take a swim inside this wrecked pirate ship. The underwater controls, while we all wish they didn't need to exist, are actually surprisingly robust. The analog vertical camera is inverted, of course, but the D-pad is not inverted. On top of that, the X button pushes the player forward, and the triangle both was done by a friend of mine, Slickford, and I'll be linking his Twitch channel and the full run in the description. Before we jump to the meat of the video, I've been uploading some to get to as a comparison. Let's say, for instance, you have an easy, normal, and hard mode. Because of the way that load screens work in DMC, the question becomes then, what about the extra fight makes the run no longer good? The mission has you following a guide. You can't buy these boots on 11. Technically, buying Vortex as early as Mission 6 is possible, and it's faster. But on this run in particular, it was not possible. If he did that, then he wouldn't have enough money to be able to afford Inferno and 13 at the start of 11. Speaking of Mission 11, it's pretty fast-paced and has some interesting routing going on. Because the secret mission at the start gives you 100 points, if you use a holy water on this level, it's still special bonus as long as you don't get hit and collect rewards. The secret mission itself takes approximately 1 second to complete, so time is never an issue. This holy water to kill all of the blades at once, spawning in the second floor fragment this mission. The strategy is kind of risky, as it makes the mission a bit more strict on damage taken. At this point, Slickford can't afford to miss a single special bonus, so doing this strategy was a pretty ballsy move. I really enjoy the counterbalancing that is done for the secret missions and the ranking system. You'll get to see more of this in Mission 15. For the second Nero Angelo fight, Slickford uses the new looping method with a grenade gun and Wolfram. By following up Inferno with Kick 13, you do a ton of damage to Nero and get him to block. Once he blocks, you can shoot the grenade gun and do a fully charged punch. Doing this twice and jumping away causes him to do the meteor attack, which you can then follow up with another loop of the same combo. Because the grenade gun gives you such an insane amount of BT per shot, this loop is self-sustaining. Kick 13 and Inferno being moves that require DT normally could not be spammed like this if it were not for the amount of DT that you get when you shoot something with a grenade gun. Manually deactivating Devil Trigger has a penalty of about 1 room. This can be circumvented by having the game turn for you, by changing rooms or activating certain cutscenes. This is used to maintain a high level of Devil Trigger's impact on damage is calculated on the impact of the attack. So starting Kick 13, then deactivating it, makes it do way less damage. But the subsequent hits of Kick 13 help to build the Devil Trigger back that you used when you deactivated it. In general, the guns of Devil May Cry are very overpowered, by far the most overpowered in the series if you exclude Faust. But the grenade gun is on another level. You can cancel the recoil animation by rolling or slashing with a sword, both of which nearly double the recovery time, allowing you to completely stun lock whole groups of enemies. That combined with the fact that the DT grenade gun shot keeps their enhanced damage and DT buildup when you deactivate DT after shooting, basically makes it impossible to run DT if you don't have it. The grenade gun is this run was a shotgun and after each of the elements wouldn't have to be used in action situations. Especially show their strength and in this section, you'll notice Slickford changing to different specifically for these ones. Some of these are cool to some weapons as you would expect. Ice lizards are weak to fire, but but this is just a small sign of a greater design inclination that permeates all throughout the first element run. While the game's combat is very fun and expressive, and you can approach every combat encounter in a varied way, most encounters, or should I say, most enemies, do have a pre-programmed and planned out specific way that is most optimal to beat them. Because of this, I like to think that the enemies in DMC1 are sort of puzzles. Dissecting the most efficient way of dealing with each of them is fun and engaging, even if after a while it can become sort of unsatisfying once you know the trick for most enemies. This is exemplified really well on this mission, as the Frosts are taken out with Inferno followed by Kick 13, and the Death Scythe a few Helmbreakers. The trick is just standing still and waiting for him. Unlike many other enemies, once you know the trick, there isn't much incentive to fight him in any other way. This design decision can be seen across most of the enemies in the game. For example, with Shadows, critting them on top of the Skewer, for Sin Scissors, the crit after you parry, or a double jump Helmbreaker, and for Nobodies, Stinger Grenade Gun canceling. It seems as though all of these enemies were designed in a specific way so that they have one specific counter that's very effective. You can fight them in other ways, but once you know the most effective method, it doesn't really feel like it's ever worth it to do anything else. This isn't true for the bosses though. Obviously for a speedrun there is a fast and efficient method to them, but they don't feel deliberately designed. In fact, I don't think anyone on the dev team would have imagined that you would fight Griffin by shooting him from afar with DT Ebony and Ivory. Well, maybe they would, but not like this. Griffin's AI can be manipulated so that he lands on this spot if you shoot him in the body once, at the start of the fight, and then kill the flying electric bird on the 4th pass. By not shooting Griffin again, he will always land. Then you can go on top of the mast and rain down bullets from above. With good matching and proper DT management, you can get a nice 2-cycle on this fight, and it's incredibly consistent. Back to Slickford, he needs to know damage this mission and the next mission in order to special bonus them. Mission 12 doesn't require anything special, just good play without taking damage. Damage on this level mostly comes from the Frost or the Death Scythe, unless you choke the manipulation. Mission 13 is a bit more extra. Having to deal with the underwater mechanics, you don't have to kill some blades. The 2 required kills don't give you enough points for the run out of deep. If you can't buy these moves on 11. Technically, buying Vortex as early as Mission 6 is possible, and it's faster, but on this run in particular, it was not possible. If he did that, then he wouldn't have enough money to be able to afford Inferno and Kick 13 at the start of 11. Speaking of Mission 11, it's pretty fast-paced and has some interesting routing going on. Because the secret mission at the start gives you 100 points, you can use a holy water on this level and still special bonus as long as you don't get hit and collect rewards. The secret mission is something. Shred, we're balancing that is done looping method with the grenade gun and do a fully charged punch. Doing this twice and jumping away, you can do a ton of damage to Nero and get him to block. Once he blocks, you can shoot the grenade gun and do a fully charged punch. Doing this twice and jumping away causes him to do the meteor attack, which you can then follow up with another loop of the same combo. Because the grenade gun gives you such insane amount of DT per shot, this loop is self-sustaining. Kick 13 and Inferno, being moves that require DT to use normally, could not be spammed like this if it were not for the amount of DT that you get when you shoot something with the grenade gun. Manually deactivating Devil Trigger has a penalty of about 1 whole room. This can be circumvented by having the game turn it off for you, by changing rooms or activating certain cutscenes. This is used throughout the run to maintain a high level of Devil Trigger at all times. Devil Trigger's impact on damage is calculated on the impact of the attack. So starting Kick 13 then deactivating it makes it do way less damage. But the subsequent hits of Kick 13 help to build the Devil Trigger back that you used when you deactivated it. In general, the guns of Devil May Cry are very overpowered, by far the most overpowered in the series if you exclude Faust. But the grenade gun is on another level. You can cancel the recoil animation by rolling or slashing with the sword, both of which nearly double the recovery time, allowing you to completely stun lock whole groups of enemies. That, combined with the fact that the DT grenade gun shot keeps their enhanced damage and
Hello everyone and welcome to my final video covering all of the enemy paragraphs for Devil May Cry 1. I really like a book trophy. So it's been a sweet ride, but it's at the end right now. So this is going to be the last enemy that I'm going to cover to end my playlist for the Platinum Guide for Devil May Cry 1. So, Sense Dive, quite the most annoying enemy, since you don't see them a lot or probably never on hard on the Must Die mode. Okay, so after finishing secret mission number 5, which is the... Hello everyone, welcome back again to another video regarding my Devil May Cry 1 Platinum series. In this playlist I'm going to continue on for trying to complete the I Read You Like a Book trophy. So in this part of the guide I'm going to cover the fetish enemy. On the previous video I covered both marionettes, the regular and the Bloody Mary. Top right corner, the playlist for my Devil May Cry 1 playlist, and you'll find my playthrough, and hopefully if you have invite, which is the, now I recommend after the first Driven battle, now in this room, oh, before I do that, I have also a collectible guide which shows the hidden items scattered throughout the game, as well as the gold trophies. I'm going to post it right now. Let's check it out, and it should be very helpful to you. You're going to need those hidden items for hard difficulties, trust me. And you're going to try, you can get all of the marionettes for the first time ever, for hours, and never did at the time, that location. So this is the best location. Alright, so let's get started. Encountering the enemy for the first time, that's going to be paragraph number 1. Now throw the YOLO attack, that's going to be paragraph number 2. Now the screech attack, which you have to be, okay, so first the blink attack, that's going to be paragraph number 5. Again, the yo-yo attack, that's going to be paragraph number 2. Now you can get captured by their scream attack, that's going to be paragraph number 4. Again, the flame attack is one of their most common attacks, as well as the yo-yo. Now we only have the grab attack, which is very annoying. I mean, I even spent like half an hour or less with this guy trying to do the grab attack. Try to do like, give them like a mid distance, and they should leap towards you and grab you. It's kind of random, I don't know why. Also, be very careful that you have to be in normal form. Do not do this while in little trigger form. There it is. That's paragraph number 3. And that's going to be all of the paragraphs for the fetish enemy. This is the best location to get all of the paragraphs